Good afternoon. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to Coffee and a Card. So I am Holly with Handcrafted Blessings, and we are going to look at some happy mail. Actually, I think I just have one here today, and then we're going to make a card together. So let's see here. Welcome to those of you who are joining live, and also hello if you're watching later on the replay. So, yeah. Here we go. So we have 2 days left, three if you count the rest of today, left in celebration. So that means you've got about, we'll go 2.5 days left to get whatever you might have had your eye on in the celebration if you wanted to get those items free. Or if you've been on the fence about joining my team, you can, if you don't want the Glass Mat Studio, you can actually instead, you can add $30 extra of free product to your starter kit. So that's always an option too, because I know I've heard from some of you that you already have glass mats, and so that's not something that interests you. Well, the great news is they have a plan B that you can get $30 extra added. So that's $155 a product, and you pay $99 for it. So just wanted to make sure that you knew that since we've got a couple days left. So we're going to start today with a happy mail, and then we're going to make a card using the Quiet Reflection stamp set. So welcome everybody who's coming in. All right. Oh, look at that. A cute little flap. So this is from Sherry Miney in Colorado. I have to say, I forget about doing my envelope flaps. And look at that. She even got a little, oh, there we go, a little heart there on the front. I get to making all my cards and I forget to create coordinating envelopes for them. So how cute is that? She's just folded back the designer series paper there on the front enough to fit her little sentiment piece. So let me take this out of the inside because it's fallen out. And her note. All right, and there's the inside. You've got those same hearts that are on the envelope. I think that's a really cute layout, a really great way to use the Be Mine paper and stuff. So very cute idea. All right, gotta move all her papers. Here we go. All right, so we are going to use the Quiet Reflection stamp set. And that, if you haven't seen it, this is what we're working with here. Quiet Reflection, and how appropriate, it has a reflection from the outside light. It has some really wonderful words, you guys, in here, combined with the You're on Your Mind and Sorry for Your Loss. We've got praying for his comfort to soften the sadness and bring you peace. God is our refuge and strength, Psalm 46:1. To remember is to give life to those we've loved and lost. And the friendship of a pet is one of life's greatest gifts. So pairing those with these two stamps just make for some beautiful sympathy, thinking of you type cards. So it is a cling stamp set, as you can see here. We're going to use 4 of the different sets, 4 of the stamps that are in here. That's why those spots are empty. I don't think I've said it recently, but that's how I keep track of whether all of my stamps are in my case. So I leave the red rubber frame. I take the paper backing off of it, and I leave it in my stamp case, because that way I can turn this over and easily see, okay, I'm missing 4 stamps, so I need to find those. So it's just an easy way for me to keep track of whether I have all my stamps in my case. Okay, I'm also going to be using the Timber 3D embossing folder for this card. So let me show you where we're headed. We're going to do a Sorry for Your Loss, and we're going to do a combination stamps and technique on the inside. So let's start with cutting some of our paper. So our color combination is going to be Basic White, Lost Lagoon, and Pretty Peacock. So I'll grab my trimmer, and of course we'll start with our Basic White at 5.5 by 8.5, and I'm just going to score it at 4 1/4. So kind of what we might call a standard card base. So we got that, we'll set that aside, and we'll take our Lost Lagoon, and we're going to do 4 by 5 1/4. So we'll do 4 by 5 1/4. So we got that layer. And then we're going to need Pretty Peacock, and that's going to be 3 3/4 by 5. So 3 3/4 by 5. So you can see we're just working our way down in 1/4 inches. There we go. And then we're going to grab a piece of basic white, and I need this to be 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. So 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. There we go. Okay, so we've got those 3 layers. And then we need 2 more. So we're going to bring back our Pretty Peacock, the rest of what we had from that. And it's going to be 2 3/4 by 3 1/4. So let's see here. I'm going to start with 3 1/4 actually. So 3 1/4 by 2 3/4. All right, so we got that piece. And then last but not least, we're gonna need another basic white, and it's gonna be 2 1/2 by 3. So 2 1/2 by 3. And these will be the 5 pieces that we need. 2 1/2 by 3. Oh, wait, what did I just do? Sorry, I just lost track. That's 3, so this is 2 1/2. Just lost track of where I was at because I was already thinking ahead to my next step. Okay, so we've got all of our layers here. So I'm going to start with embossing, and we're going to take our basic white layer, and that's what we are going to emboss first. So I've got our timber embossing folder, and I've got my, actually I guess I got to move all this out of the way, so I got to put the machine right here. So we'll take our cut and emboss machine. I love that we can fold up the sides. It makes for such easier storage. We'll put our base plate number 1 on here. And then because this is a 3D embossing folder, we're going to be using the gray plate number 4. I want my wood grain to go, I always have to stop and think about vertically. There we go. So I'm going to line up the long way on this black line so that my wood grain stays relatively straight. I'll put on here, we always do spine first because we don't want to break our embossing folders. Trust me, I know that from experience. And we'll just crank it right through. Okay, so I'll just set this down. And we've got our wood grain piece of paper, which I think because it's basic white, you might not be able to see it, but I promise it's beautiful texture. Here's what the embossing folder looks like. But I know the light of trying to show you the embossing on basic white can be a challenge sometimes on video. But with the trees in this stamp set, it just makes sense to use the wood grain in the background. Okay, so now we're going to start layering on our card base. So I'm going to start with the largest Lost Lagoon, and we'll add that. Actually, we're not. I just taped this, but here's the deal. I need to stamp inside of my card base, and if I tape this down, I'm stuck with only one panel I can stamp on. But if I stamp first before I adhere any of this, I'll have some options in case I mess up. So I'm actually gonna work on the stamping first. So we're gonna go to the inside of our card, and we're gonna do 2 stamps at once because we are going to use these trees. I'm gonna stamp full strength on the small basic white that we cut, and then I'm going to immediately stamp a second time on the inside of my card base. So this is what we call the stamp off technique, but I'm actually making use of both layers of ink. I'm going to do full strength here, second strength on the inside of my card. And I'm going to do that using Lost Lagoon ink. So we'll just set this here. Whoops. Get that all nice and inked up. Okay, so I'm going to do full strength on this piece, second strength inside my card. Okay? So just like that, we've got those two done. And then, oh, I forgot that was sticky. We'll close this and we will grab our Pretty Peacock ink. And I am going to add my words here. I'm going to start with God is our refuge and strength from Psalm 46:1. And we'll stick that on here. And because the pretty, whoa, Siri's listening to us on my watch. Because the Pretty Peacock is darker than the Lost Lagoon, it shows up really nicely on this stamp. So we'll have our two sets of words here. And then as long as I'm stamping, let's move these two. And we'll take our wood grain and sorry for your loss. And we will also stamp sorry for your loss right down here in the corner. There we go. So now, so the thing is, if I had messed up on this stamping right here, I could have made this the front of my card. Because as you'll see, the Lost Lagoon would have covered up my mistake. And then this would become the new inside of my card. So that's why I stopped with adhering this and went to stamp first. Because, you know, sometimes it's risky to stamp straight on your card base in case you mess up. But a lot of times it's fixable by just, you know, switching your inside and outside. All right, so we're going to go back to our layers. So we've done Lost Lagoon. Now we're going to add our Pretty Peacock. So we'll just keep putting those layers in their size order from what you cut. So now we've got our sorry for your loss. And since this has been 3D embossed, I'm going to go around all four corners with adhesive to make sure it'll lay nice and flat. You can see here, let's just say I stopped right here and I only had adhesive on my long ends. Do you see how it kind of ripples here at the bottom? That's why I put tape on all four sides of 3D embossed pieces, because I could make sure that it lays nice and flat when we adhere it. All right, next we're gonna put our trees and our Pretty Peacock together. Tape those two together. And we will use, there's actually no dimensionals on my sample, which just feels illegal. So now that I'm making it live, I'm gonna dimensionalize these layers, even though they're not dimensionalized on my sample. Oops. So we'll stick that right here. And then we're going to use the Pretty Peacock in Gold metallic ribbon, which is just stunning. And we're going to tie a little, kind of a mini bow in our peacock ribbon. Now keep in mind, if you don't need sympathy cards, you could easily substitute other sentiments on this card. So you could grab your birthday stamps. This would be a great masculine birthday card. You know, you could do thinking of you, or I mean, any occasion. This layout, this stamp set would actually work with any occasion. So I know sometimes I show it with one occasion, but I don't want you to get caught thinking that's the only way you can use this stamp set. Although the words in the set are definitely geared towards sympathy and kind of thinking of you type cards, we all own lots of stamp sets, so we can grab them and switch up our cards. All right, I'm just gonna stick that ribbon right there. We'll fold our card, and I'll crease it down with my bone folder. And so there we have a Quiet Reflections card. So if I bring back the original, there's no dimensionals on this card here, but it adds kind of a nice extra layer there. Now, just purely flat here on video, I realize you really can't tell the difference, I don't think. Excuse me. Maybe you can, but I definitely love that pop-up right there. Thank you guys. I'm glad that you love these colors. Yeah, Darcy, the Pretty Peacock and the Lost Lagoon are really beautiful together. So I'm glad you guys like these. So that's the card for today. And then somebody's asking about Josh. He's doing well. He's got some muscle strain, but otherwise he's doing well after the car accident. So thank you for asking. Kathy, this month's card club kit is all about shaker cards, is for February. So tomorrow I'll be doing the card club live video over in the community group. So you can look forward to that. And then the March card club kit will be ice cream swirls. So thanks for tuning in for Coffee and a Card today. And don't forget to encourage one another and build each other up. I'll see you soon.